Okay, and I'm going to record this session as we typically do with our sessions so that if anyone wants to review some of the content we're going to be presenting, then you can definitely do that at a later time. We're going to have a small workshops during this session, so maybe that's going to be helpful. And also, if any of your colleagues wanted to join but they had a conflict, you can tell them that there is a video available of the session, so they can at least watch the session if they could not join. So, well, welcome everyone. We're very excited about this event tonight, or this morning for some of you, because this is one of the first events for graduates. And many of you know me. I'm going to introduce myself since for some of you, you may not attach the name to the face. So I'm Izabela Widlak, and I was a mentor for most of you. You could perhaps see some of my feedback in your assignments, and some of you would hear me during the sessions that we had for our users. We have a few goals for this event tonight. So one of the things is that we want to give you opportunities for ongoing development. So there's going to be an opportunity for that today, and also you're going to find out what else you can do to further your development in this field. And there's going to be also an opportunity for networking, so you connect with some other graduates from our program. And also, if some of you want to take charge and lead a project, we're going to talk a little bit on how you can do that. Okay, so before we go into discussing many of the things, we're going to hear Shreya talk a little bit about opportunities, and also she's going to provide some insights for talent management professionals. It's going to be a pretty good update and very inspirational for all of us to see what else we can do or what else we could be doing right now with our degrees and with our certificates. We're going to also hear some stories, some success stories from our graduates. Our graduates went on after the certifications to do many exciting things. They're working for many exciting companies. So it's going to be great to hear from them. And also, there's going to be a short workshop on how to create portfolios. So that's something that you could be doing in order to showcase some of your work that you have done. And we want to show you how to do it so that you can get even greater benefit of your certification. And we'll follow that up with some of the announcements and questions and answers and conversations at the end.
All right.
Okay, so, well, the first thing we wanted to do, we wanted to find out about how you heard about this event. So I'm going to launch a poll, and you're going to have an ability to vote. So how did you hear about it? Did you receive an email from our team? Did you hear about it from your colleagues? Perhaps you've heard about the event on social media, or maybe there was some other way. Okay, so I can see some of you already voted. I'm going to wait a bit longer since there are many more people in the session.
I do see that some have joined by phone, so I'm not sure. I'm also wondering, Isabella, if we could come back to this poll, or we could maybe even ask people later. It's really important for us to know how to reach everyone. After people graduate, I know a lot of the email addresses we have are no longer active. So we've been working really hard to make sure that we keep track of where people are, also for this graduates event, which we plan to do periodically. It would be very nice for us to know how to reach everybody. But I see that not everyone has joined by their computer, so they may not be able to respond.
So we have 4 responses now. It seems like half of them are here. So maybe okay, so we have one more person responding. So we can certainly come back to this one more time. Do you want me to share the results, Shreya, at this point, or just relaunch it later?
You could share it. It seems like we have a pretty dominant answer here.
So it seems like the email is how everyone is finding out about these. So, when you are moving on to different jobs, be sure to give us an update on what email you would prefer for communication, because we definitely want you to stay in touch and get the benefit of these events. So we'll be happy to update our lists. And also we'll give you some other opportunities to find out about these events as well. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. Okay, so I'll stop this for now. Do you want me to launch another poll, Shreya? Or
we could come back to it.
Okay, yeah, we're going to come back to it. Okay, so now we're going to hear from our CEO, Shreya, about some insights and opportunities.
Let me just move some of my windows around. Isabella, is there a way to close the poll?
Oh, I already
see. I forgot. You know what? I always join as on the admin side. I should know that we could do that. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Isabella, for hosting this event, and Manas and Vinyuta, who, I hope at some point they might join on video, are in the background, as always, doing the things that allows us to have these events. And I want to thank them, because without their help and support, really, HCG wouldn't be able to do all the things we do. And I want to thank all of you for making this a priority. I know that there are many demands on your time. And the thing that I want to start out by sharing is we're seeing a time of fundamental shifts in the practice of people management. And I want to talk about what that means for all of us, because I think we all bear a responsibility, and that's why we want to connect with all of you, but also let's take charge. Let's take charge to make the workplace a better place. And that's, the key message that I want to talk about today. Let's talk about the opportunity at first. The thing that all of you probably remember from the curriculum, there's documented evidence that when organizations focus on employees, it's not just good for employees, but it really is good practice for organizations. But it's not just any kind of attention on people, it's doing the right things. And doing those right things are like medical science, like we know what treatment procedures work, we know what works in the workplace. The crisis, there's a huge crisis in the world of work. And let's talk about those. I want to see what's top of mind for you. So before we even get into what I think is going on, I want to hear from all of you and see, what do you think is happening in the world of work, maybe at your workplace, but more broadly. What are you seeing happening? Are employees generally happy? Are companies doing what it takes to make people productive and fulfilled in their work? What are your thoughts? So either you can speak or chat, because this is a question we all have to answer, and it's something that I think we can make a difference in. Anybody want to give me any thoughts on this?
Sure, Shreya. This is Tina. So what we're seeing is clearly the shift to digital, right?
Mm-hmm.
automation is the buzzword these days, and we can see it happening very tangibly. So that is one thing. So of course, it brings with it some amount of uncertainty and some amount of I don't know if I can call it fear as well in the minds of people. So there's focus on obviously future skills, which is going to enable our workforce to be able to work despite the disruption, and maybe work in tandem with bots or machines or whatever we want to call it. So that's one thing that I'm seeing for sure.
This is Aarti here. Hey, thanks Tina for bringing out that. Yeah, especially in Cognizant, we are at a phase where the digital, bringing in digital way of looking at things, especially from an operational perspective, and also machine learning, artificial intelligence, that way taking away the major this one of our services that are going to be impacted. There is a lot of in a kind of I wouldn't call it as a threat, but people are very feeling a little bit insecure and not sure how they will go and things like that. So that is what is happening. And definitely it will take some time for us to stabilize. But what I saw in the last quarter, there has been a positive approach towards this kind of a change, major change that is, both outside Cognizant and inside Cognizant. I think people are responding to it. They know that, it is not going to be so bad. So I think we are doing quite well now, accepting these kind of changes.
Very interesting. So both of you have talked about the digital transformation that's sweeping the world of work. You're feeling it as a company that helps other organizations digitize, and you're going through it yourself. I'm actually curious to hear what some of you in the other parts of the world are feeling. I know, Tatiana, you're from Kyrgyzstan. Love to hear your thoughts. And Michael, you might have a perspective of what's happening here in the Bay Area. I certainly, I'm happy to speak of that, but I'd love to hear from the rest of you.
I don't know I'm not sure if you can hear me, because I joined a little bit later. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I did not manage to connect to video, but I'm sorry for that.
Welcome, Tatiana.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to see all of you. So now I'm not in Kyrgyzstan anymore.
Okay.
Yes, I'm in Russia now.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and I'm working for Continental. We are manufacturing tires now. So I changed completely what I was doing before, from humanitarian area and sphere completely to production side.
Nice.
Yes. And what we are doing now, we talked about digitalization. Yes, it is very popular, and here we are doing this a lot. And we are moving to this tendency more and more, especially in work. I can say that in a production site, they're using more and more all these computers, machines, and everything. And it's speeding up the process. And we are reaching our goals, and there is higher results quicker and faster.
Wow.
It is financially maybe not, it's quite expensive to equip people with all these things, computers and tablets, but it works. And this is what we are doing now. And other systems that we're working on, and talent management, for example, I'm busy with this. We are trying to make more and more different databases or programs so that people can work online without all these papers and everything.
Yeah, very interesting. So here's, feel free to chime in if anybody else wants to. I want to make a point over here. my point, so the one, I've heard all of you talk about the digital revolution that is sweeping the world of work. I want to highlight one other thing. I live in the part of the world, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, where the companies that are digitizing the world in various capacities, they exist here. And what we are seeing is, with all of the technology, no one is happier. With all of the fancy HR systems, women are still discriminated at work, and the workplace is not a safe place for women. These are things that are taboo to talk about. It is more than it's popular to talk about how much, how these industries are disrupting the world of work, but we have a very sad reality lying underneath it. So how is the world of work and everything that has been done, whether it's on the digitization front, is that minimizing the importance of people? One might think, well, it might be, but I want to show you something. So Isabella, if you would take us to the next slide, please. Based on what you have said, one would presume that human capital, human beings, are becoming less important in the workplace. One might also assume that given all the work that has been happening to improve the life of employees, that we are in a pretty good place. But I want you to pay attention to the top CEO challenges as per the conference board. And what do you see as number one for most of the years? If not number one, then number two. So I'll give you, and I'm sure you're all seeing the same thing as I am, that human capital is still the top concern that CEOs have. And on our leadership assessment practice, we hear this all the time. We don't have the right talent. The talent that exists doesn't have the capacity to grow. Companies are just constantly playing the catch-up game. Employees feel like there's just not enough investment in them. Is just constant. So the things that companies are working on doesn't appear to produce results. And so this is data from 2011 until 2015. And I see this as we are in crisis mode. But you might say that's 2015. Well, what about 2016 and 17? So Isabella, if you could take a look at that data, what do you think the data is going to tell us? Have you gotten better in the past couple of years? We haven't. And that was one of the reasons that I felt we needed to come back and talk, because we are all partly responsible for this. But I don't want to put the blame on your shoulders. I think it's an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity for us. As I travel around the world and I talk to HR people, the one thing that I can say is that the practice of people management continues to be very, very primitive. We do what sounds good, what sounds like a great practice. We like to follow what some of the leading organizations in the world are doing, but they are all struggling when it comes to people. So there is a different way to practice people management. We're not seeing it happening a whole lot because we would be in a different place. I think it would be good to not be on the CEO's top challenges list for once. What do you all think?
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. Someone else. So Tina, I heard you. Someone else said, I missed the comment. All right, well, definitely, speak up at another time. So let's do things to not be on the CEO's top list. Let's go to the next slide, and I'll talk about this, in a very high level form. So at best, year after year, the HR function and all of us, in some shape or form, end up doing work either through HR or in HR or in some ways related to them. Well, the performance of HR is between a D and a C+. That's about a 70% grade. So that's like going to the doctor and the doctor about killing, 3 out of 10 patients, or at least they're not getting better. That's like 3 out of 10 children getting a failing grade and not moving forward in school. That would not be acceptable. But we have been tolerating it in HR. Budgets haven't stopped. HR budgets have continued to go up. So some of the digital threats that the world is facing, I think HR is facing it as well, because I tell you what, no business will continue to invest in a failing proposition. And that's the crisis. That is the crisis that we are faced with. And all of us have a responsibility, and we have to, put our heads together to figure out what that is. And our hope is through these conversations, we'll figure out what that is. But I do have a few ideas for all of us, and it's something that we take to heart as our responsibility as well as everyone else's. So Isabella, would you take us to the next slide? So what can you do? One of the biggest challenges that I see, and I see it particularly here in the Bay Area, is there is a lot of hype in the things that companies follow without full thought or whether it's the right thing or not. So question conventional wisdom. Question what has always been true. What has always been true. Things like, we can go through a big list of things. Well, we need to send people for more training. That's a conventional wisdom that every company operates in. Maybe it's time to rethink that. People are learning in different ways. Maybe it's not just about more training. And that's where your curriculum, the evidence-based practices that you learned about, should be beneficial. Let's not just willy-nilly assess people when you don't know what you're assessing them on, because that's like putting the wrong label on people. It's better not to do assessments that you don't know what they measure than to do. And the other things that I would say, so raise awareness about the things that you've learned about, that you know. Influence choices. Don't be just an order taker. Influence choices. When your leadership sends you down the wrong track, be bold, because it's your career, it's your colleagues' careers that are on the line, and stay up to date. Next one, Isabel. So I want to provide a really quick update, and then we'll move on to maybe a more positive note, that I think the opportunity is huge. I really do think the opportunity is huge, because you really do want to get off that top 10 list of concerns. And that by itself is, I think, a huge opportunity. So here at HCG, our commitment is that we want to bring practices that work, practices that we know deliver results in the workplace, and to be able to reach more people like we reached you. We've added more certifications, shorter certifications. In 2017, we added 6 in the areas of talent acquisition, leadership development, talent analytics, employee engagement, change management. They're all on our website if anyone's interested. The CTMP certification, which is our largest, has a new format, and the biggest change to that is, in addition to becoming certified in all of the practice areas, which is hiring, managing, developing, and supporting, it requires doing a project. And I want to talk about, I don't think that Anne-Marie's on the call today, Anne-Marie from Dubai, but she has been one of our exemplary participants on the CTMP category in the new model. She worked in a company that was revamping their talent management processes, soup to nuts, everything. And while she took our curriculum, she tested out the practices of whether or not it would work through the assignments. Following that, she picked up the pieces that worked and embedded it, along with the leadership of the company, embedded it into the organization's human capital practice. And then that, we think, is a really great way to transform organizations, instead of having to bring in people from the outside who may or may not know your company. The third thing I want to talk about is as you all know, we have an expert panel from companies like Abbott, like Wells Fargo, Twitter, Facebook, a whole bunch of firms that help shape the certification exam. They shape the curriculum of what you learn, because these are experts who have masters and PhDs, and they're doing the work in the organization, and they're telling us what's, what kind of practices companies are adopting. This last year we added 2 expert panelists. We have Dr. Victoria Davis, who has worked at Marriott and I believe JP Morgan Chase, among others. And then we have Dr. Liberty Munson, who brings a fabulous background. She is actually responsible for all of Microsoft's certification, ensuring the quality of the Microsoft certification. So she's the lead psychometrician working in their worldwide learning and development team. Just a fabulous resource for us. So that's something that we are just really, really excited about, that we're growing. We're bringing great thought leaders into the fold of what we're trying to do. And we're also promoting research that's not just staying in the journals, but through our benchmark study, which we launched last year. We're looking to see, well, how many of these evidence-based practices are actually getting used, because we know those have demonstrated efficacy. Unfortunately, not a lot of them get used. And the study that is still running, we are looking at how many of these are being utilized by companies. So I'm going to turn things back to you, Isabella.
Okay, thanks, Shreya. So now we're going to move to another portion. And just to add what you were saying, Shreya, because you're talking about some of the problems, I think these are opportunities. Perhaps there is just lack of HR professionals with our skills, with our background. So it's an opportunity for us. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we can do that for many organizations. So I think that the message is also to take this as an opportunity and do what others can't at this point. Not that we necessarily cannot do all of this. So let's talk about you. We wanted to take some time to celebrate your achievements, and achievements of some other individuals that could not be here today in this meeting. So what we wanted to highlight is that many of the graduates who earned certifications were recruited to work for amazing companies doing amazing projects. And here you can see some of the organizations that recruited them, and you see many well-known names: American Express, PayPal, HSBC, as well as some other organizations. One of our graduates, and some of you might have heard her speak in one of the past events, Nichanan Kesonpat, was also very successful applying the certification and what she's learned into her job. She was recruited in the Bay Area to the organization called Instacart, and she was able to work there, apply her knowledge on many different projects, and now she's actually working in Thailand for an organization called ThoughtWorks. It's a mid-sized tech company, and they recruited her to actually lead the HR functions. So now she's applying her knowledge even on a broader scale. So I wanted to share with you a link to her story and a video, so you can check this out for yourself, and you can learn a little bit more about Nichanan. Oops, I think I've sent it to just one person, and I want to send it to everyone, so I'll send it again. So you'll see a link to her story in the chat box, so feel free to click on it and learn a little bit more about her. And we also have a few individuals here who want to share their stories. So
Isabella, could I just say something about Nichanan? You know, Nichanan's story is really amazing, but partially also because we know her story. Nichanan has kept us updated about it. You know, within a year, she really accelerated her career. Partly because from what she has shared with us was getting certified and having relevant experience to talk about. Stories like those have inspired us to bring this idea of the portfolio to all of you. But one of the other reasons of sharing this particular graduate story is because we want to build more stories. In the past, we actually, while we were always proud of all of you, we didn't really track the stories to see how were our participants contributing, because we know it's not like getting any other HR certification. All of you are pretty unique because you get a unique skill set that the other certifications are not focusing on. Plus, you're demonstrating your skills, and we're seeing that it is helping people accelerate their careers. So for anyone interested, we would love to do a story on you. So please do reach out and tell us how you're using it, and allow us to tell the world about you.
And I also forgot to mention about Nichanan, that she has really applied herself when she was doing the certification. She took every assignment as an opportunity to actually speak to someone new in order to apply the knowledge that she was learning here. And also because she was able to speak to new people and learn about new organizations, she was able to expand her network as well. And that has been helpful as well. So I hope that everyone, and I've seen in your assignments that many of you actually were taking this as an opportunity to do amazing things as well. So I hope that you're going to be sharing a bit more with us at a later time as well, or perhaps even today. So let's hear from some of you. So today we have two or more, or perhaps even more individuals to speak to us. So we have Michael Ruiz, who I think earned the CTMS certification, so Certified Talent Management Specialist. And we also have Rohini D'Souza, who I believe earned the CTMP certification. So let's hear from Michael first. Michael, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, because I muted you a little bit earlier.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Michael Reese, and I graduated from the program last March. The certification program has been beneficial to my current work in securing jobs in the field of talent management. After completing the program, I experienced a pretty smooth transition from acquiring many skills and with applying them to my current work as an educator. For example, the performance management segment of the program provided me with a lot of examples and strategies for nurturing the academic development of students that I work with by helping them reach their personalized goals. I was able to help students accomplish their goals by helping them raise their current standings with their completed assignments, and then work with them in understanding their deficits, how their deficits affected their performance on the material that they were being asked to complete. One way the program helped me improve this process is by setting SMART goals with the students, such that they knew the specific grade that they wanted to receive and how their desired grade was going to be measured. By being aware that they are capable of attaining their goals and realizing that the pathway to improving their deficits is relevant to their success, and what they are bound by the period of time between receiving their assignments and the due date for those assignments. By pairing SMART goals with the performance management process of holding ongoing conversations of how they could improve their work and with the objective standards of what is expected, the students better understood what was expected of them and how they could meet those expectations to achieve their goals by watching their grades improve from the previous assignments to their latest assignment grade. Not only did the program help improve my current work, it also helped me secure jobs in the field of talent management. For example, a few months ago, after completing the program, I obtained a job as a hiring committee chair for a nonprofit in Berkeley, California called the Berkeley Student Cooperative. I was able to obtain this job by utilizing the analytical skills and applying the tools that I gained from the certification program during the interview by asking the interviewers about their current talent management framework and suggesting possible evidence-based alternatives that could have improved their organization. During the interview, the questions that I was asking were partially influenced by the questions at the end of the unit assignments, in which we interviewed professionals in organizations to assess where their talent management system is at, and then utilizing information to derive evidence-based alternatives that could improve the organization. I was able to accomplish this by asking about the employee selection process, which was a key component of the job that I was interviewing for. After doing this, I realized that they were lacking a realistic job preview component, and then explained how utilizing this tool could improve their employee retention rates. I stayed in the hiring committee position for a few months before I realized that I had my own ideas for how contemporary talent management systems could be further progressed. So I left that position to join a research lab at the University of California, Berkeley. Even though I enjoyed the job, I have the sense that current organizations are still capable of improvement. And if I would like to determine if these improvements are possible or not. So I'll need to gain research skills that are necessary to generate evidence that either supports these improvements or shows that current talent management models are sufficient the way they are. And I also would like to take this time to thank all of you for having me, and give a special thanks to Shreya, Isabella, Matza, and the rest of the Human Capital Growth team for providing us with the skills and tools that we need to succeed in the field of talent management.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you. That was very heartwarming, and I'm always a little bit teary because I this is what I want to hear. This is what we at HCG want to hear, that you are utilizing the skills for the betterment of the workplace, and showing people that there's a lot of times there's ignorance. People don't practice things not because they don't want to, but because they don't know. And every one of the examples you shared was just terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, so much for speaking about your experience. So now we're going to have Rohini speak as well. Okay, so we can see Rohini.
Hello. I just wanted to check if you're able to hear me.
Yep, we can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. So hello everyone, and thanks for the Human Capital Growth team to have me on board for this meeting. I must say my learning experience with while doing this course was truly enriching. What I really liked about the course was the content. I found that I had done a lot of research on other existing courses available, and I found that the content was very niche and very relevant to even people like myself who were already in the field of talent management and knew the basics. What really worked was also the flexibility of this course, because I did the course at a time where both professionally and personally life was really demanding. And if it wasn't really for the flexibility of the course, I don't think I would see myself being able to complete it. The best part of my learning experience was the case studies. I thought a lot of the examples were relevant. It showed how these concepts, models could actually be applied in the field of talent management. And the interactive nature of the modules keeps you engaged and hooked on, even though it's not a live learning environment. I like the fact that you could be in charge of the pace of your learning. And what's special about this course is also the several opportunities like these that have happened for us to keep in touch as graduates. I completed my course way back in 2015. However, I've constantly had mails and messages about webinars and opportunities where you can connect. And that also, I think, distinguishes this course from others. While the assignments and the modules in terms of time were challenging, I say looking back, the assignments was actually the icing on the cake for this course. And I've actually enjoyed doing the assignments because they helped me apply the concepts immediately. And I took them up as opportunities to experiment, to explore. I think Isabella did a fantastic job in terms of feedback as a mentor and coach. Her observations, her detailed comments on what could be improvised helped me. And while I've always been in the field of talent management, I think the course particularly helped me to appreciate the need to base HR interventions on research and evidence. I think that's one theme that's been consistent whenever I speak to Shreya. And I think that is also very clearly reflective through the course. What it's made me consciously do post doing this course has been evaluating the pros and cons of different models and approaches and taking more informed decisions based on evidence about which learning or OD intervention I should be using. Right? It's also helped me become more aware of more recent models and concepts in talent management that I was not as familiar with. And post the course, I found myself being able to involve myself into more long-term holistic learning and OD interventions, which have been far more impactful for organizations. And I've also found that earlier I would do interventions which was more to do with involve myself with the implementation aspects, but not spend as much time consciously probing clients about what exactly or the end objective of what they're doing. What's the impact that they would like to do? I've tried to often now probe clients to find out whether this is just something they're doing that's popular or a tick in the box, or whether getting them to reflect and see how they can do something that has an impact, and have also helped me to be a lot more assertive to say if I'm not convinced that the design of an intervention or the plan will really make an impact, to make a case for it and explain how this is just going to be a investment of time and effort without resulting into something effective and impactful. So overall, I think the course helped me increase or take a more holistic approach to talent management. And I would strongly advise those of you who are considering to do the course that there's never a better time than now. There will be challenges and times constraints, but when you look back, it's a very fulfilling experience because you now have a more insightful, a more informed approach, and there's a tremendous support that you get from this team, even if you reach out to them beyond the course. So thanks a lot for having me on this forum, and thanks for the constant support that this team has always provided.
Oh gosh, Rohini, thank you. That's again, I'm just a heartfelt thank you. I'm very warmed by your comments. Sure, for the HCG team as well, and everything that you were saying. I'm thinking, Rohini, we need to have you as our spokesperson, because your comments were just what we would want to hear. So yeah, definitely thank you, and I hope that you do a user story with us, and as it's a request for all of you that please help us tell the world. I think you can say the story much better than we can at this point of why they should use evidence-based practice, and we want to grow, so tell the world how you benefited. So thank you.
Thank you. And Rohini, you mentioned assignments, so I want to actually thank you for doing quality work as well, because it's a pleasure to read great assignments, and I know that many of you here actually applied yourself when doing assignments. So as a thank you, we also wanted to give something back and tell you what else you can do with that experience for your even greater benefit of this certification. And one of that is to turn your assignments into a professional portfolio that you can use to showcase your skills and knowledge gained in the certification. So we don't have perhaps that much time left. So I'm going to highlight some of the things. I'm going to show you a template of a portfolio, and I'm going to highlight a few things about it. And you're going to be receiving a template as well as the example of how a person could use it to design their own portfolio. so that you can turn your own assignments into something like this. And
So, Bella, before we go into the how to, can I provide a little bit of a side story to this?
sure. Mm-hmm.
You know, the idea of the portfolio is something that Isabella and I have talked about for a while. I was at a session by John Boudreau, and if you haven't heard of him, I recommend you look him up, Boudreau. That's his last name, John Boudreau. He is one of the most well-known thought leaders in the space of human capital management. He's at the University of Southern California. And just in last September, he talked about how the resume is changing. You remember the time when resumes, or in some parts of the world, they're called curriculum vitae, you put together this static document that shows your experience, who you are, and what you've done. And he actually showed us an example of a online live portfolio that is a lot more personal, and it showcases who people are as you know, just their natural selves and their skills. It's a lot more dynamic. And that inspired us to encourage all of you to create portfolios, to create a digital presence. So just, you know, want to give you that context. So if you think about, you know, how it's going to help in your career. And you may not be looking for a job, but you could still create a portfolio and have it digitally available.
So I switched the slide to the next one because the instructions mentioned a little bit of that. It's an extension, a portfolio like that is an extension of a resume. You can use it on SlideShare, you can use it, you can link it on LinkedIn, or perhaps you have a personal website where you can upload it. Some individuals could be using those portfolios when they search for a job, or when they want to apply their skills in the different projects within their organization. So this is something that that you can definitely share with others in many different ways. And many of you already did a lot of work on your assignments, and we designed assignments as mini projects. So you can use that work that you've already done to turn that into the portfolio. One thing you have to do is really just review it, and also review the feedback that was provided to you by me or by other graders, and then update your assignment, and also perhaps revise it or edit the assignments to make sure that it's in the format that others would find easy to read, and also attractive in terms of how the information is presented and how readable and easy to comprehend it is. So I encourage you to take your assignments, take a look at that, look at the feedback, and also edit it, and you can use it as your portfolio. So here are a few components. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Obviously, you have information about yourself, about the titles of the projects that you've done. Be sure to include enough information about yourself, because you do want others to contact you. You can include one assignment in the portfolio, one project, or you can have multiple. Just make sure that they are relevant to the audience that you are presenting this to. And this is these slides show how you can what you can do next to showcase a specific project that you've done. We've provided you some sample text that you can reuse, but again, be sure to read through all of this, and if needed, update so that it fits the project that you have done. So there is the overview of the project. You should be including the executive summary, and we've given you again some text and some guidelines on what to include when summarizing a project. As you probably have heard us speak, we're really big on using design thinking in talent management. So using all the phases of design thinking, you can use those to organize your portfolio as well. Starting with discovery, you can exactly describe what was your approach to gathering information, and even give examples of some of the questions you might have asked in the interview. Or if you use a different method, perhaps you would describe a bit more about that other method you've used. You want to include information on the challenges that you've uncovered or needs. And again, you want to showcase those with examples, because examples, anecdotes, they bring more life to the story that you want to share with others. If you find that there are some templates that you've downloaded from lessons that are useful to showcasing information, use those. This particular one may be familiar to those who took the leader development lesson, as it comes directly from that lesson, and actually it was used in the assignment. So it might be familiar to some. And also the next step would be to provide a recommendation. And here is a visual that we just come up with. But you can use any type of visual, just whatever you feel will illustrate your recommendation, the design of the program that you want to recommend to others. We have another template that we think could be useful. But again, if you are not describing a leader development project, you would use something else. Or perhaps you would use something similar, but you would want to edit everything in a table like this. And at the end, as in each one of the lessons, we want you to talk about the outcomes, what outcomes you expect as benefits of the program that you are recommending, and also describe how you would propose the evaluation methodology. Of course, maybe some of you not only proposed a project, maybe some of you actually carried out a project. In that case, you want to tell others what you did and not what you would propose that would happen. And at the end, you definitely should include your contact information so that others could contact you. And just a reminder, our templates include guidelines like here, and some instructions like on this slide. So be sure to delete those. I'm sure that most of you will, but once in a while during reviewing assignments, we could see that sometimes individuals would not remove instructions. So this is just a reminder that be sure to go through this before uploading it or sharing with anyone. Maybe share it with, or ask a friend or a colleague to actually review the slides for you as well, to give some feedback before you post. That could be helpful as well. So I don't think we actually have time for an example, but we're going to upload the example, and you'll have access to this so that you can review it. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to give you answers. Chad, do you have anything else to add to this?
The only thing I'll say is one of the things we learned from those who got jobs after getting certified is sometimes you can't really talk about your projects that you may have done at work or share it, but these assignments give you things that you can actually share with an employer, or you can actually talk about those experiences even if you haven't done it. And that's what we heard from Nichanan, from Matthew, from all of those who got jobs in areas that they hadn't worked in before. So I'd encourage you to create one for yourself, and create one whether you're looking for a job or not, because it'll showcase who you are. All right.
Mm-hmm. I think we have some polls that we're thinking of doing. Should I restart the polls now?
I'd say just go to poll number 3 because this is really important.
Okay, we have another poll for you. So we do really care about your development and your success in the field, and we wanted to see how we can best support your needs. So we have a few options for you. So which of these would be most helpful for you, or things you would be interested in doing? Live small group discussions on trending topics, short workshops, help with job seeking, competitions to showcase your skills, volunteer opportunities, or something else perhaps. And you can choose as many as you wish. So I can see a number of people voted already.
Definitely feel free to reach out if you have other ideas at a later time.
And that's perhaps everyone, considering that a few individuals are on the phone. So I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share results now. So it seems everyone who voted is interested in small group discussions on trending topics. And workshops was the second most selected option. Help with job seeking, volunteer opportunities.
So Isabella, in the interest of time, could we get to the announcements of, we were going to show some of the survey results of what you told us during the survey, the graduate survey that we did last year. I know many of you filled it out. And today's session, by the way, is a direct result of a recommendation that many of you made, which is for ongoing learning opportunities and connection opportunities for the certified graduates. So you're seeing us activate what you're telling us. We really value your feedback. So I want to talk about a couple things that are coming up as a result of recommendations that all of you have made and what we are seeing happen in the marketplace. And one of them is that we are launching very soon, actually within a month, what's called a membership portal. The membership portal allows us to bring new programming to the talent management community, the HR community at large, especially for people who have graduated or those who don't really want to go through our learning curriculum and get certified, but they want to stay connected. So the learning portal provides these opportunities for many workshops. Some of them may be paid, some of them are a part of the membership, but it allows us to fund these kinds of programs, and those who are part of our membership will get discounts towards various products. So if we can go to the next slide, it'll give you a sense of what that costs us, because it does cost us resources to be able to bring all of this programming. So while we are committed to putting at least a couple events a year for our graduates for more ongoing activities, like the mini workshops, like making available all the tools and resources, we are asking for a small annual fee. That fee is smaller for HCG graduates. And if you are a student and going to university, then that is a smaller fee. And if for nothing else, if you just want to continue to be part of our programming that we do anyways, our webinars, then you can just be a free guest to the membership portal. So the way it's going to work is Manasa and her team will give all of our graduates the free access starting February 1. In fact, you will be our pilot users for the free access, and then starting March 15th, we'll launch the paid services, which will have a lot more functions, such as monthly small group meetings, more short modules, learning modules that are asynchronous, plus workshops that are live on topics such as, how do you create a learning plan, or how do you assess high potential employees, things like that will be part of the membership. So Isabella, if we could go to let me talk about recertification for a minute. I want to remind all of the participants who've graduated that similar to all other types of certifications, technical and HR, that you do need to maintain your certification, meaning get recertified every 3 years. HCG, what we are requiring is taking the exam, the certification exam, which will be very similar to the exam that you took. You don't have to redo the assignments. The certification exam for CTMP will require taking all 4 modules. For the others, you'll just take the module that you are certified for, earn a 70% to pass. Again, there'll be 4 dates in a year to take those. Our team will send out an email to anyone who's eligible to become recertified, so when you will you will need to work towards your recertification. And what we will do for you is, as you know, each certificate has a unique code that can be verified, and we release these Mozilla badges, so anybody wanting to check the certification will also know that you've been recertified. And they were working on a few other things that you can just log into our website and check it as well. So that will be some new features coming forth. So it will be helpful to know for all of you who are in today's session, how many of you do plan on becoming recertified?
Should I go to the next slide and
Sure.
wait for response?
Yeah. All right, that seems like pretty much the vast majority of them. All right, well, good to know. The other thing that I want to bring up, if you're not already part of the LinkedIn group, then and this is a group just for the certified users, we highly recommend that you join. Manasa, if you would please send out the invite again. This is one way for us to keep in touch with everyone as you move, change careers. It also helps us know where our graduates are going and what the career progressions look like. There's a very small number of you who are on this LinkedIn group at this time, so I encourage you to join. And please share the word, spread the word with your colleagues, because unfortunately we have lost track of a lot of them simply because we don't have their current email addresses. So anytime you get an HCG note email, would you please do us a favor and forward it to anyone that you know was associated with HCG? Would really appreciate that. And then the one final thing that I want to bring up is many organizations, I know that I belong to several alumni organizations, places that I graduated from, and the organizations have networks that allows you to connect and just build your network and social capital. So we want to know if any of you would like to serve in a leadership role and help us organize more events or organize events amongst yourself to remain connected with like-minded individuals. And as you know, they come from all over the world. So just a quick, I don't know that we have a poll here. Maybe you can use the hand icons to share with us whether any of you would be willing to take a leadership role, and we can discuss what that would look like. We'd certainly be there to support you, but what it will allow us to do is bring more programming, help you connect more often with each other.
I think in the participant window, you have options. You can vote yes or you can vote no. There may be other options like thumbs up as well. So you can use those to let us know what your thoughts are about this.
So if you would just click on the participant window and let us know yes or no, there's just these voting buttons.
Shreya, this is Tina. What would be the time commitment involved? Would you have an idea?
I think that a couple, 2-3 hours a month, and couldn't be more than that. And the more leaders we have, the less. I'm thinking at the start it would just be a couple who would take on a sort of a president, vice president role of the alumni community and host sort of small events. So we see, so I'm not thinking that this will be a lot of time commitment. Assume 2 to 3 hours a month.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. I see Tatiana, Tina. Well, wonderful. That's really good to hear. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that we have some names of those who want to take a leadership role. And Isabel, I think we have one more announcement before we move on. I think we've crossed the hour over here. So thank you all for staying with us. I know we always have more things to talk about. I do want you to mark your calendars for the next graduates event. We did have several who wanted to join, but the time wasn't convenient for them, particularly those in Europe and the East Coast in the United States. So the next event would be 5 a.m. Pacific time US, which is evening hours in Asia. And much better timing in the US as well. So that's June 22nd, Thursday at 5 a.m. Now, should something come up, we will let you know the dates change. But if you can mark this on your calendar, then we know you'll be here. And if you want to come share your story with us, please let us know before this call ends so we know to reach out to you. And that's the view of the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. So Isabella, back to you.
Thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate that you could make to this event. This was our first event. So if you have any feedback for us or any ideas for other graduate events, we want to hear from you as well. So so that we can make that happen next time or a time after that. As Shreya said, we want to have these events more frequently, at least once or twice a year. And next one will be in June. So be sure to send us a message. Also, if you want to speak, we want to have you speak. We actually contacted a few more individuals than those who just spoke. So I know that some couldn't make it today. Others wanted to speak, but unfortunately we are out of time. But it doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. So please do stay in touch, and we do hope that you can be part of the next event and you can share your story with everyone next time.
Thank you all, and I just want to mention that Tatiana and Tina, thank you for volunteering to be leaders. We will be in touch, and if any one of you would like to volunteer as well, please let us know.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you, Tina. And if anyone wants to, so we're going to be hanging here for a few more minutes. So if anyone wants to stay, ask a question, or make a comment, please do stay with us. And if you are busy, if you want to go, we also understand this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Isabella. This is Aarti here. hope to see if I can really stretch. Right now, I was not able to make a commitment. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No way, anytime. And actually, Rohini, I saw that you raised your hand and we missed that. I'm assuming that's for a leadership role. So Aarti, I don't mean to cut you short. Thank you for letting us know, and thank you for thinking about it in the future, because that's what we need. We definitely need all the help to blossom and make ourselves a bigger group.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Rohini, did you want to say something, or was that a hand?
No, that was for a yes, actually, because.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yes. We love that.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, wonderful.